Well, we have 10 minutes and then we're going to have to stop because I have another hearing because it took you 21 minutes to do what you needed to do to come to court. We will go on the record in the matter 25 SC 97 Michael Hess versus Rose Hutari. Appearances are we have Mr. Hess appearing in person without counsel. Ms. Hutari appears in person without counsel. We're set today in this matter on Mr. Hess's petition for replevin. He's asking that a 7-year-old German Shepherd be returned to him. Basically, that's all I have in this case. This is set for a court trial. It was in front of Commissioner Krupa. However, Commissioner Krupa was not able to reach any determination as this matter is a contested replevin. Mr. Hess and Ms. Hutari, please stand up, raise your right hands, and be sworn in.
Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to provide in this matter should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
You may be seated. Mr. Hess, this is your motion, your hearing, and so you have the burden of proof, and you are first to present your case. You may begin.
Your Honor, about April of 2023, Ms. Hutari and I separated or stopped dating, cohabitating. I moved out. At that time, she gave me Samson, the German Shepherd. The understanding was that I had someplace stable for him to go to keep him, and that I would bring him back to visit. I followed through with those. I brought him back to visit after a number of visits. She said, "I don't want you to bring him anymore. I don't want anything to do with you." So I stopped doing that. Fast forward to April of 2025, this past April, I went to jail for a few weeks, and Rose called my mom, said we had some understanding that if something happened to me, that she would get Samson back. And she came and took Samson. When I got out of jail, was my first opportunity to have any contact whatsoever. I sent her a text message. And here is a copy of that thread.
Can't present it yet. You have to tell me
I'm
what it is and let me know if
This
it's going to
is
be relevant.
This is a chain of text messages between Rose and I when I first got out of jail. This is the contact that we had. I asked her how Samson was. Can I see him? Can we get him? Whatever. And she was adamantly said no, not a chance in hell. She wasn't going to let me see him. Wasn't going to let me anything. Samson, I got hurt in January of 2023. Broke my foot at work. Didn't heal right. Fast forward, I'm still going through therapy. I have an implant. Samson's been my emotional support through the whole thing up until April when she took him.
Oh, all right. You have text messages.
Yes.
Other than her saying, no, I'm not giving him back, what else are you trying to prove?
There is relevance in here, Your Honor. She
And I'm
said,
just going to say you have to stop talking when I'm talking. You can't talk over me. I have a court reporter who takes down everything. She can't take down two people speaking.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. In the text messages, the thread was our original agreement. She says why she removed herself from that agreement. And she also admits that Samson was my support and Samson was trying to save me and keep me. And she says that I failed him. And it also points out that Ms. Hutari thinks that I should be locked up behind bars. I'm not sure where she gets her information or her evidence or anything like that, but I've not been convicted in any court in this county or state or
That's not
country.
relevant for today, but yes.
I agree. Thank you. That's what I was getting at. Okay, because we're going to hear that. It also shows that she said that it's in here that Samson was trying to save me. She recommended that I go see Jeannie Daniels, a medium in Frederick, and I did. I took Samson with me, and Miss Daniels said that Samson and I have not just met, we've met before. Her first question to me was, do you believe in reincarnation? I said, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not closed to it. I don't have enough information to make that decision. And she said that, well, you and Samson were in a life together before.
I don't know who Jeannie Daniels is.
I didn't either. She is a medium. She's very very respected in her work area. Rose suggested we go see her.
All right, so what you have to prove to the court is that you are in proper ownership of Samson. I haven't heard when the dog was received or purchased or gotten as a gift.
April of 2023, sorry. After we broke up, there was some concern. I asked her what we're gonna do with the kid. She said he wants to be with you. He's followed me around since.
Again, I haven't heard when you first received or got the dog. I'm hearing April 2023. That's
Yep.
when you broke up. I'm not seeing how the dog poof came into your life.
That's what I was trying to explain, Your Honor. In April of 2023, about April, was when I moved out. We had a conversation, what we're gonna do with the dog. She said he wants to be with you.
When did you get the dog?
April of 2023.
Oh, so he just magically came up in your life in April 2023. When was the dog first received? From Miss Hutari? Did she buy the dog from a
First received.
pet?
First
place?
received by her.
From anybody? How did the
She-
dog come into ownership of anybody?
She bought the dog from her cousin in Pine City, I believe it was. He's 2018.
And were you together at that time?
No, we were friends.
Okay. All right, and then so when did you and Miss Hutari get into a relationship?
2020. But we'd been friends before that. I've known Samson since he was a puppy, since she got him. She'd actually gotten him for her ex-boyfriend.
You purchased him for an ex-boyfriend?
She purchased him and was going to give him to an ex-boyfriend, yes.
All right, and then you're indicating or telling the court that in April 2023, when you broke up, she gave you, Miss Hutari gave you Samson and said that you would give him a stable life. Do you have
Yes.
any proof other than your conversations?
Yeah, right. The text messages. There's no denial of her giving them to me. She admits that she gave him to me, that he was my dog.
Okay, where in those text messages would it say that?
Page 3.
And what does it say?
Well, I went through, okay, it says it was never that I didn't want Sammy. It was 100% that I didn't want you in my life at all. You had him and you went there. Sammy has served his time. Now it is time for him to relax and have a normal life.
Where does it say that she gave him to you?
Well, that is her response. There's no denial that she gave him to me from my text. My text. Would you like me to read my text?
No.
Okay.
What I want to know is, okay, it could be a gift. It could be a contract. It could be something of that. I'm not hearing what it is.
It was a gift. There was no contract. Verbal contract. That was it.
Okay, so as a gift, she gave him to you in 2023. And
Yes.
what was the conversation?
Conversation was, she said, if you have a stable place to take him, then yes, but I want you to bring him back to visit.
Okay. All right, and so you would like the court to receive those text messages?
Yes.
Please provide her, Ms. Hutari, with a copy as well as the court. I can have it, thank you. What else would you like me to know?
I'd like you to know that I've been working since I got Samson to make him a support animal, service animal. He has become an emotional support animal. And Rose knew that before, or when she gave him to me, that
Okay,
was,
unless you have a doctor's note, I'm not hearing as an emotional support animal.
yeah, I understand that. It's in the workings. Without airing out all my medical stuff to the court.
So since 2023, when you were in placement of, or you had custody of Samson until April 2025, who paid his vet bills?
I did.
Is he up to date on his shots?
I'm not sure where he's at right now. I don't have his tag. I don't have any of that. Rose has had him since April, but he had his shots, yes.
April wasn't that long ago prior to that, when he was in your custody.
His shot should have been up to date. Yes, I took him up here to the animal wellness.
What else do you have for the court to convince me that you are the owner of Samson?
Rose's testimony itself from when we met with Commissioner Krupa, there was no
Can't hear what
denial.
happened in Commissioner Krupa's courtroom?
Okay, can we ask Ms. Hutari if she gave Samson to me?
You're going to be able
She's
to
not-
ask questions of her later. Right now, you're giving your testimony. She's going to get to ask you questions, and then she's going to give testimony. You're going to get to ask her questions.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't have any paperwork. Samson's tags are on my keychain and I have no access to my keychain
Why do you have no access to your keychain?
because my vehicle is an impound in Sawyer County.
All right. Okay, Ms. Hutari, do you have, the court will receive Exhibit 1. Ms. Hutari, do you have any questions for Mr. Hess?
No,
Hearing his testimony, you have no questions.
I know, I can say that I let him take Samson in April of 2023 with conditions that he was able to provide a stable home for Samson and take care of him. I can say I have the copy of the records of when I purchased Samson. And February 27th of,
Well, there is no dispute that you purchased Samson.
Okay.
There's maybe argument that you purchased him for an ex-boyfriend, but Mr. Hess agrees you purchased him. It was originally your dog. You got into a relationship, and when you broke up from that relationship, you gave him Samson.
with conditions.
All right, so explain that.
I gave him Samson with conditions. I knew that Mike wasn't in a spectacular headspace. And I thought that having Samson to take care of would help keep him in a better place. Since then, Mike has been in and out of jail. A couple of times, Samson has wound up in the pound. I believe when he was arrested in Sawyer County, Samson wound up in the pound then. I have since taken Samson to the vet, the same vet, got his shots and everything updated. They were not they were not current. I have the same text messages as part of the restraining order that I have against Mr. Hess. He has been, I have video of him driving by my house. I
don't need to hear that. That's not relevant.
okay. He lives with or spends a great deal of time with his girlfriend. She lives in a trailer court where the dog's not allowed to be.
Not true.
You can't talk while she's talking.
The owner of the trailer court said that.
Can't tell me what people say.
Okay, I'm sorry. The dog is with me. He's safe. He's in one place. He's no longer being drug all over the world. He's calm. I have someone who can attest to his demeanor now versus what it was before. Samson is safe with me.
So you admit that you gave him Samson in April 2023 because you thought that he needed Samson for whatever reason, but you said you gave him with conditions.
Mhm.
What were the conditions?
The conditions were that he provide him with a stable, safe environment with him, not with his parents while he spends months in jail. It was for Mike to have him and take care of him, not someone else. And as I said, he's been in and out of jail several times. It's not fair to the dog to have him going back and forth. And like I said, at the point that I stopped taking Samson, it was because I believed that Mike was doing things he shouldn't be doing. And I made the choice not to have Mike in my life, not the dog, Mike. I own a business. Things in his character are not something I want associated with myself or my business. I went the last time that I made the decision. Mike was in jail on a $25,000 bond. I thought at that point that they were going to keep him. I finally felt safe and comfortable enough. I reached out to Mike's mom. I explained to her that when I let Mike take Samson, it was under the agreement that he was going to be able to take care of him, provide him with a safe place to be. And she said, okay, you can come get him. And I went there without any ill will from his parents, and picked Samson up and brought him home. When they did release Mike, actually his first contact with me was when he called me at my business on my business phone and asked if he could see Samson.
And this is where the case takes a critical legal turn. Notice that the argument has shifted away from who loves Samson more, because courts generally don't decide pet ownership based on emotion alone. Instead, the judge is focusing on one key
Why do
question.
you think Mr.
Was Samson
Hess
an
is
unconditional
unstable?
gift in 2023? Or was ownership always conditional
He
on
has
providing a stable
several
home?
open court
If those
cases,
conditions were never clearly defined or agreed
for,
upon, that could significantly weaken
methamphetamines,
Rose's claim.
narcotics,
What do you
having a
think?
firearm
Once
after
someone
not-
gifts a pet,
after,
should they
being
be
a
able to take
felon?
it back if circumstances
Um,
change?
And I said, asked how he was doing. I said he was doing well. He asked if he could see him, and I said no. And he asked what I meant by that. I said, you've chosen your road. You've made your choices. No, I don't. I am not going to let you see him. He said, aren't people allowed to change their road? And I replied and said, yeah, we've been down that road before also. And I hung up. Then he sent me the text message going on about a bunch of like whatever past stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with him having Samson. He just repeatedly tells me that I'm wrong and I shouldn't have him. And like I said, there was a time that I had great faith that Mike wouldn't go back down the ugly road that he did. And that's why I trusted him to take Samson. He chose to go back down that ugly road.
All right, so one of your conditions was that he provide a stable home for Samson. By stable home, did you go over what you meant by stable home with Mr. Hess in April 2023?
No, I thought it was obvious at the time. I didn't go into detail.
Did you go over any conditions with